Hi guys, Remy here again, and today I'll be comparing the iPhone 6s Plus and the iPhone 7 Plus in 2019. So as we all know, a lot of people still use these two awesome iPhones, since iPhones are known to last for a long time, even up to 5 years. So in 2019, people still use or want to buy the iPhone 6s Plus and 7 Plus as they are still great and are way cheaper than newer iPhones. So in the comparison, we will tackle various aspects or categories, starting from the build quality, then processor, display, software, camera, and battery. Then after all the aspects or categories have been compared, I will give my final thoughts and points on which phone should you get. Let's get into the comparison. First is the build quality. Both phones are rocking the aluminum 7000 series. As we all know, from the infamous bendgate from the iPhone 6 Plus, Apple has moved to the 7000 series aluminum, starting from the iPhone 6s Plus. This means its flexural capacity has increased about 3 times. So both phones have stronger aluminum back, which are more resistant to bends, scratches, and dents. And most of all, it's not glass back, which means a more durable phone because after all, glass is still glass. And the trade-offs of less premium build in aluminum compared to glass is manageable, as long as it gives you a more assurance of a more durable phone that is not prone to breaking. So while they are similar in terms of aluminum back, they differ in the other build quality aspect. The iPhone 6s Plus does not have an IP67 rating, meaning it is not water and dust resistant. While the iPhone 7 Plus does include an IP67 rating, which means you can submerge it in water under 1 meter and could last for 30 minutes. Also, it is dust resistant, which enables you to use it in dusty environments prone to dust intrusion. So while the iPhone 7 Plus takes the edge in IP rating, the iPhone 6s Plus has its few edges too. It still packs the good old headphone jack, which is useful for wired headphones. This is ideal for audio junkies who prefer wired headphones for a fuller and better audio experience. But for iPhone 7 Plus users, you can still use the dongle to connect the headphone to the charging port. Also, the iPhone 6s Plus still has the physical home button, so while the iPhone 7 Plus may have a haptic feedback button that emulates a physical home button, its downside is that you cannot press the button if you are wearing gloves or if you have no direct skin contact to the button. This is a bummer for instances wherein you cannot press the home button with your bare hands. So after reviewing the build quality of both phones, each has its own advantages and disadvantages, and ultimately, it's a tie in this category. You can either choose the headphone jack and true physical home button on the iPhone 6s Plus, or you can opt for the IP67 water and dust resistance of the iPhone 7 Plus. Next category is the processor and internals. So for the iPhone 6s Plus, it is rocking the A9 chip. In the Geekbench rating, it scores a 2408 in the single core and 4160 in the multi-core, while the iPhone 7 Plus packs the A10 Fusion chip with Geekbench score of 3405 in the single core and 5734 in the multi-core. So while on paper it is quite huge of a difference, in real-world performance, the difference is negligible. You can only notice the difference in speed when you put it side by side with one another. But even when you place it side by side, the difference will be only about a split second or less than 3 seconds the most in opening apps. But using heavy apps will be a different story. The A9 chip performs fairly on moderate to heavy apps. There will be minimal lags on heavy apps and games with rare stutters once in a while. And for the iPhone 7 Plus, it performs great even on heavy apps and games due to its A10 Fusion chip. The A10 is the first Apple-designed quad-core system on chip with 2 high-performance cores and 2 energy-efficient cores. Apple states that it has 40% greater CPU performance and 50% greater graphics performance compared to its predecessor, the Apple A9. This can also be attributed to the RAM, as the RAM for the iPhone 6s Plus is only 2GB while the iPhone 7 Plus packs 3GB of RAM. This means a smoother use of apps and multitasking. And lastly, for the base storage, the iPhone 6s Plus only packs 16 gigs of base storage while the iPhone 7 Plus packs 32 gigs of storage. So in this category, processor and internals, clearly the iPhone 7 Plus wins. Next category is the display. Both phones pack a 5.5-inch IPS LCD display, and although the iPhone 7 Plus packs the same display as its predecessor, it is slightly improved with 25% more brightness and a wider color gamut than the iPhone 6s Plus. This means a better image quality, and a wider color gamut means a wider array of colors to display for the iPhone 7 Plus. So in the display category, the iPhone 7 Plus gets the slight edge and wins this one. Next is the camera. Both phones pack a 12 megapixel rear camera with optical image stabilization. Both can record up to 4K at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. But the huge difference is that the iPhone 7 Plus has two 12 megapixel camera, one wide angle and one telephoto camera. Both the rear camera of the iPhone 6s Plus and the rear telephoto of the iPhone 7 Plus pack an aperture of f2.2, while the second camera or the wide angle of the iPhone 7 Plus packs a f1.8 aperture. This means better images in low light compared to the f2.2 aperture of the iPhone 6s Plus. Additionally, the FaceTime camera or selfie camera of the iPhone 7 Plus is slightly better with 7 megapixel 1080p, whereas the iPhone 6s Plus only packs a 7 megapixel 720p camera. Overall, what really sets apart the iPhone 7 Plus in the camera department is its dual camera setup. That is first in Apple history, enabling the photo to be better in low light and also feature portrait mode which produces great photos. Overall, the camera department is a huge upgrade in the iPhone 7 Plus and greatly wins this round. Next category is the battery. For the iPhone 6s Plus, it packs a 2750 mAh battery, which is slightly smaller than the 2900 mAh of the iPhone 7 Plus. But although the difference is minimal in battery capacity, due to the better optimization of the A10 Fusion chip that enables great battery and processor management, the difference in usage is great. In real-world usage, you can get 3.5 to 5 hours of screen on time for the iPhone 6s Plus, and for the iPhone 7 Plus, you can get around 5 to 6.5 hours of screen on time. This consists of moderate to heavy apps and game usage, but keep in mind that Apple in general is great in optimizing battery usage. But if the battery is a deal breaker for you, consider getting yourself the iPhone 7 Plus because you would get an additional 1 to 2 hours of use in your phone. So for the battery department, the iPhone 7 Plus wins this one. So to sum it up, the iPhone 7 Plus wins 4 out of 5 categories. But here are my final thoughts. If you are someone who is on a budget, the upgrades and differences between these two phones are negligible. This can be associated with the rule of diminishing returns. The rule of diminishing returns in terms of the phone states that as the prices increase, the lesser value you get from the difference in price. So basically, when you pay an extra $200 to upgrade for the iPhone 7 Plus from the 6s Plus is very minimal. You get dual cameras, IP67 rating, and some minimal improvements from the 6s Plus. These are essentials, but if you're on a budget, then the iPhone 6s Plus is for you, as you can live without these upgrades and additional features. But if you are someone who has a bigger budget, consider getting the iPhone 7 Plus for these reasons. First is you get at least an extra year of software updates compared to the iPhone 6s Plus, which means a longer time for obsolescence. Next is better camera. The camera in the iPhone 7 Plus is a huge but unnecessary but still huge upgrade, especially for those who are really into mobile photography and videography. And lastly, you get an overall faster iPhone. So if the budget is not a problem to you, consider getting the iPhone 7 Plus. A bit more expensive, but you're getting your money's worth. That's all, guys. Thank you for watching this video and hope you like this. Please like and subscribe for more content like this, and also please comment for any suggestions and recommendations. Thanks again, guys, and see you soon!